Victoria Brunner, today's guest, is the co-founder and CEO of FattE-Bikes, a Colorado-based manufacturer of rugged e-bikes capable of operating in all kinds of weather and the most challenging urban environments, now incorporating smart health technology. Victoria will share insights about her work and her superpower. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show, where we empower you. Victoria, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation today. I'm so excited to connect with you. I just love what you're doing.
Thank you for having me, Devin.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's really a privilege. So at FattE-Bikes, you've been making sort of customized bikes now for several years, about 6 years, I guess. And, you've got a real business going, millions in revenue, and you've got a team of people manufacturing bikes. And it's just such a critical spot in the global ecosystem for transportation to get more people on bikes more of the time. Tell us about how you got started.
Well, that's a great question. And basically, my husband and I had gone down to a one-car household, and we were looking for a different form of transportation other than having to purchase a second car. So, we looked at all the options, including public transportation, Lyft, you name it. And I kind of stumbled across electric bikes. And I said, hey, have you seen these? And that's kind of where that started. And then how we got into making and building our own bikes here in the USA is that I realized quickly that most of the bikes are coming from overseas in Asia. And the quality control was just not there. And so from the get-go, we knew that we wanted to build a higher quality electric bike, but still have it be sold at an accessible price. So that's why we made the decision to start building them here, which is not easy to do, but it's probably smarter and better to do it that way.
Yeah. Well, it's a huge leap to go from wanting to buy a bike to wanting to sell bikes that you make yourselves. That's a huge leap. Take us through a little of the history. I've got to think there were some bumps in that road that you overcame some pretty big hurdles to pull this off.
Oh, yes. We kind of started, the typical story is people start at a garage, but we literally did kind of start out of our garage. We were driving on around an old clunky van to people's houses so they could demo the bike. Then we kind of transitioned to a small space in a solar company's building. And we had set up a mechanic stand with weights so it wouldn't tip over when you put the really heavy electric bike on it.
Yeah.
And then since then, we've kind of graduated to a much bigger facility with full stands. We have the power lifts, electric power lifts up and down. Nothing's tipping over anymore, I'm happy to say. I'm pretty sure OSHA will be happy about that too.
Yeah.
So there's been some learning curves along the way. I myself do not come from the biking. Neither does my partner. And so we have had to learn quite a bit about, the bike world and the mechanics. And, most of our mechanics are master mechanics. So they've brought that we've learned over the years from them, and they've definitely been adapting and honing our bikes to be really amazingly crafted bikes.
Yeah. You talk about not being from the bike world, but in a way, there's an advantage, because your mission, I think, was not to create something that would appeal to people who love bikes, but to appeal to people who are looking for an alternative to a car, to find a light mobility option that's much more environmentally friendly.
Correct. Yeah.
Have you seen a little bit of, I hate to call it this, but maybe kind of that advantage that would come from a fresh take?
Definitely, because as a consumer, as a commuter, as a woman, I'm looking for comfort when I'm getting to work or running errands or taking my kid to school. And I'm going to look at things very differently than, say, somebody who's been cycling their whole life and is just out for a joyride and does the power adventure biking trips on the weekends, the weekend warrior. I'm looking for a vehicle that's going to replace my car, so I have a different perspective. So definitely feel like electric bikes as a whole are opening up a whole bigger world to most people who never even considered cycling before the dawn of the electric bike.
Yeah. Well, and they are so much more environmentally friendly than a car. It's just, it's really amazing. And so many trips can be replaced. So many car trips could be replaced by bicycles so much of the time in so many places. You're based in Denver, and yet, are you able to use your bikes yourselves 12 months out of the year? Or do you park them for a while?
Well, because we're FattE-Bikes, that stands for Fat Tire Electric Bike. So the fat tires are actually what allows year-round riding. We didn't want to design a bike that replaces your car, but then that you have to hang up, 4 or 5 months of the year. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So the fat tires were actually created in Alaska. And obviously, if they're good enough for Alaska, they're probably good enough for the rest of the country. So that's why we've designed all our models with this fat tire aspect. They make the bike more stable, all terrain, all weather. And they make actually a nice benefit to fat tires is they make the bikes more visible to cars. So
Sure.
there's just a lot of really great advantages. And yes, we do use the bikes year round. Maybe when it's -20, I'll be honest, I don't go out when it's -20. I'm not one of those people.
I don't blame you. You're talking to
Right.
someone who moved to Florida to get out of the snow
Exactly.
belt. So yeah, I
Exactly.
get that. I get that. I respect you a lot for riding your bike when it's 32 degrees. So
Right.
that's tremendous. That's tremendous. So as you and your partners have built this business, what do you see as kind of your big success to date?
Gosh, we've had a lot of ups and downs over the years, but in terms of success, I would say overall, we're moving more into the space of working with cities, states, counties, government organizations. And a couple of the fleet sales that we've done, I'm most proud of are to low income residents, so kind of e-bike libraries, whether they're being sent to a community that's like a tiny home community in Denver, or now we just recently sold and are sending 30 bikes out to the city of LA for their pilot program, their low income pilot program in Compton and Watts area, that they'll be providing low income residents with electric bikes to use.
Wow.
So that's some of the more impactful, I'm always super excited to sell to the individual, of course. And I love it when I see a family come in and they're like, we're going to use this cargo bike to take our kids to school. But on the bigger level, with the city seeing such a benefit to this, they're starting to really embrace it. And these e-bike libraries are really exciting development, I think.
Oh yeah, they are exciting. What's next? What do you see as the next big challenge for FattE-Bikes?
Well, I think the next big challenge is to make electric bikes a part of people's total lifestyle. And with that comes more of a data-driven type of bike, so a smarter bike that can do more than just be a mobile vehicle. It can obviously track where you're going, and it already kind of does that, but it can have anti-theft GPS. It can have health capabilities to monitor your calories, your heart rate even. It can do really cool things. Something really cool we're working on is possibly helping cities to show the reduction in carbon, so people can track how much carbon they're taking or saving and preventing from putting into the environment by not driving a car. So there's a lot of possibilities with making these bikes even smarter. And I think that's the next evolution of where FattE-Bikes is going. And not a lot of other e-bike companies, I believe, are really looking at that. And I think that's just the natural evolution of where we need to go next.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That is exciting to think about that future. Well, you've accomplished so much, Victoria, and the future's so bright. I wonder, what do you see as your superpower?
My superpower. And I think everybody has an innate superpower. And I love that question. It's a tough one because most of us don't like to think like that. But I would say my superpower is my, this is very Superman of me, but my sense of justice. Since I was 15 or 16, I told myself I was going to be in Greenpeace and I was going to be an eco warrior. So I think since a young age, I've known that whatever I did with my life, it had to have a sense of purpose and that it was going to make change in the world. That was very important to me from a young age. So I think my sense of justice that keeps pushing me through, even when, I want to cry and I want to throw my hands up and give up. It's what keeps driving me to keep going. And I think, that's super important in this day and age. And it's just kind of reflected on everything that I've done. If you kind of look at my life, everything that I've strived for, even when it didn't work out, that's okay. But it was something that I can
Yeah.
still look back and be proud of.
Yeah, that is a powerful, powerful thing, that sense of justice, that desire to bring about justice. I love it. I love it. What can you think of a specific example of when you employed that, when you were motivated by that to do something difficult and that you were able to accomplish it, and you think back, yeah, that was really, that motivating factor was critical to the success. Can you think of an example you could share?
I can think of lots of examples. I've had multiple social enterprises, all with a mission driven background. I did, after I graduated from college, pick up my 3-year-old toddler and moved down to Mexico to build wastewater systems. They were these gardens that were naturally cleaning out wastewater to prevent the coral reefs from getting polluted. And people thought I was nuts because I was a single mom with a kid. I had just graduated from college. And here I go traipsing off to Mexico to run this nonprofit that I knew nothing about, and I didn't know how to run a business. I was in my 20s, my mid 20s. So that was a little frightening, but I believed so much in what I was doing that I made that leap. And it was a great experience for 3 years while I was in Mexico living there. So that's just one of them.
That's a great, great example. I appreciate you sharing that. You know, um, there's a lot written, there's a lot being said, a lot being debated in this world about this idea of justice. If you were trying to coach someone to feel more of that sense of justice that you feel, how would you guide them?
Well, if you have kids, that should be easy. Having kids and seeing where the world is at and what they're going to have to deal with or already are dealing with. If you look at the younger generation and you already see how much more activists they have become, then it should be easy to find that sense of I need to do more. If you don't have kids, either way, the world, as we're all aware now with the internet and social media, is it's a tough time right now, and it's no time like the present. So I think if you do something and you're active in something that you believe in, you won't give up hope. And because if you don't do anything, it's easy to become hopeless. But if you feel like you're taking action, then I feel like it continues to drive you and feed that hope, even if it feels like a hopeless battle we're up against. So I would say just take any kind of action or little action that you can, which sometimes you can build upon and take even greater action from there. It's cheesy to say it, but if with no action means, then, what do you feel like you're contributing to? And that's easy to give up at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a powerful, powerful insight. Well, Victoria, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I really appreciate your insights and your message. Before we wrap up, would you take a minute and just tell people how they can learn more about FattE-Bikes, how they can buy one, how they can connect with you on social media or otherwise? Just make sure people know how to follow up.
Definitely. Our website is very cool. It has a customizer on it, so you can actually custom build out your bike online and play with that. People love it. So FattE-Bikes.com, FattE bikes.com. You can check out our website. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, all of the social medias, YouTube as well. And you can reach out to me as well, Victoria at FattE-Bikes.com if you have any questions. We love hearing from people and answering their questions about electric bikes. For a lot of people, electric bikes are kind of a new and exciting world, and we just love talking to people about this. It's a favorite topic of mine.
No, fantastic. Well, Victoria, again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We wish you every success and continue to increase your sales and grow FattE-Bikes to have more and more impact in the world. We're excited for you and want to see you succeed.
Wonderful. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today, Devin.
All righty. Let's do some good. Thank you for tuning in to the Superpowers for Good show. Twice each week, we host changemakers who share their impact, insights, and superpowers. Don't miss another episode. Subscribe today at superpowersforgood.com. That's superpowers good.com. Be super empowered. Get your copy of the book, Superpowers for Good, as an ebook, audiobook, paperback, or hardcover edition via your favorite online retailer. Interested in having me speak to your company, organization, or association? Visit devinthorpe.com. Then let's talk. Now, keep using your superpowers for good. Together, we can reverse climate change, improve global health, and eradicate poverty.